Kafele and I. Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hi, I'm Kafele. I'm just playing.
We have no idea what we're doing, but we're doing it because that's just what we do.
Yep.
This is my best friend, Kafele, and I've kind of been struggling over the last couple of weeks to figure out what I want to put out. And we realized that we talk a lot and we have these really great conversations, and we're constantly like feeding off of each other. And sometimes we have really heated debates. And I was like, I don't know, was it your idea or my idea? I don't remember. Or did we just like agree that it
Well,
makes
I
sense?
mean, it's your idea overall, but I was trying to give you some, just to expand your concepts a little bit, because I feel like just in general, sometimes it can be weird talking to nobody.
Yeah.
So I know it's easier, like sometimes when you talk to another person and then you feed off their energy and their ideas and stuff, So.
Right. So I was like, okay, then why don't we just set up the camera? Because he comes over every Wednesday.
Right.
We have like this little thing where we hang out, we get work done, we chill, whatever, and we talk a lot. Even though we're like really close, our opinions are sometimes completely the polar opposite. And we're able to have these discussions, and I feel like we always learn from each other.
Definitely.
If we do this as natural and as authentic as we would like to do, which I mean, how natural can it be when we have lights on us right now and we're talking to the camera? But he's gonna just like come up with something random. He's not gonna tell me what we're talking about. He's gonna come up with whatever, and then we're just gonna discuss it. And I'm gonna record as much as we can, and then put out whatever I think is valuable, or that you can learn from, or that's it. So we're gonna do it.
Let's do it right now.
Okay. I don't know what we're gonna talk about. I feel like we didn't like properly introduce ourselves. I'm Jessica. I'm also Sober Warrior. This is my channel. I've been doing YouTube for about 5.5 months now, and I've changed the concept of my channel several times. And like I said earlier, I've been struggling with figuring out what I really want to put out. And originally it was about self-growth and self-development, because I was an addict for 15 years and I'm going on 4.5 years of sobriety. And I thought that made the most sense, like talk about something that you really know. But again, like I was just like struggling with getting in front of a camera and like figuring out how I want to go about it. So I'm gonna just try this out. If you guys like it, let me know. If you don't, let me know.
Right. Basically, my name is Kafele. I am a musician at heart. Also very big into growth and development. I'm also big into meditation and spirituality. In terms of, I like to study different things. I don't necessarily have one particular belief system, but I do believe in just listening to and reading everything that I can get my hands on, and then pulling out the information that I feel like is the truth, or that serves me or serves a good purpose. So that's pretty much the main things that I try to focus my energy on.
There are people who think they're in love when they don't even respect the people that they're with. This is what I'm saying. And like so many people think they fall in love like overnight, and I'm like, stop. You've destroyed being in love for me. And I think that's the reason why I just don't believe in it. I think maybe it's because people have abused this idea that I don't respect it. I don't believe in it. I feel that there are people who say things like I'm in love, but then they don't like the person that they're with.
Stop it. Get some help.
It makes no sense. I'm like, how could you say that you're in love when you don't even like the person? But I'm so in love with them. But I can't live without them. But And I'm like, sorry, honey, you just sound brainwashed. No, you're not in love. I don't know what it is, but it's not love, honey. He was like telling me he was in love with his ex-girlfriend. And I was like, no, you weren't. You were not in love with her. You cared about her. You wanted her in your life. But I don't think that he was in love with her. I think that he's just used to using that terminology anytime he's intimate with a woman that he cares about. And it's like, I must be in love. Tell them your experience with her. Why you thought you were in love, and when did you experience that feeling of like, oh, I'm in love with her? To it then falling apart. So like, where did it go? Like, I'm in love with her. And honestly, just pay attention to the time frame here. Because I think it says a lot if it's within the first 6 months. Because we all know what that is. That's called the honeymoon phase, honey.
Right.
Tell me what happens after 6 months.
all in all, our relationship lasted for a little over a year.
Okay. Also, they were long distance.
Yeah, it was a long distance relationship. And when I first met her, there were a couple things that attracted me immediately. One of them was just I felt like she had a very caring nature about herself.
Right.
Even the first night that we met, just the fact that she was, going out of her way to make sure I was comfortable. She was taking care of me. She showed me a lot of interest and attention.
Right. Okay, but pay attention to this. This is the first night you're meeting someone. Great.
Right.
They're giving you attention. They're showing that they care. People can do this for up to a year and you know nothing about them. They're not showing you exactly who they are
authentic selves.
in the first 6 months. They're not. Maybe even in the first year. You really need to stop abusing this phrase, being in love, because I understand that you have all of these emotions and you probably feel like this person is just so wonderful and so great and so loving and we connect and there's chemistry and it's like, okay, well, tell me that you're in love with them at least after a year of living with them, not just dating them, living with them. And the fact that he can say, he had this attraction to her, they got along, and I'm not trying to cut him off, I'm going to let him keep going. But this is what I'm going to keep going back and forth from every time he talks so that you can have an idea of what I mean when I say that we are abusing this phrase, being in love. We're abusing it. And I'm not to say that he didn't have feelings for her and he didn't care about her. But did he really know who he was dealing with? Did he know that she was somebody who didn't trust people? He didn't know that about her yet, right? Because he didn't truly know her. He was just getting to know her, and yet he was in love with her. What were you really in love with?
I can't really say when I quote unquote felt like I had fallen in love with her, right. But I can say that
give me an estimate.
I don't know. It was maybe
he needs to give.
Maybe it was maybe a few months in, maybe about 4 or 5 months in. I felt like that, right? Something like that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it may have been. I don't know. But okay, here's the thing. This is the reason why I feel like, with me personally, I start to feel that way in certain relationships. Even if I know that a person is not showing me their complete, true, authentic self, I know certain aspects of it. And if there are some aspects of their self that they are showing me and I resonate with or that I like, then to me, that is the most important part.
Okay.
And I know that they will have some flaws. I know that they will. I know everybody does. But to me, like, if they have those core attributes about themselves and about the way they carry themselves, about their viewpoints, about how they treat other people, how they treat me, about how they make me feel when I'm with them, then those things outweigh everything else to me. And that's the reason why also I feel like I have a codependent.
Yeah. That's trouble. Right there, exactly what you just said.
Right.
Because you're wearing blinders.
Yeah, I kind of am. I'm willing to, well, within reason, I'm willing to accept their flaws, as long as the flaws are not something that completely go against my standards. There
have been relationships where he's accepted a certain type of behavior for a long period of time that he knew was not working for him, and he wasn't happy in that space, but he kept it going. For what reason? Mostly, well, okay, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, it was two reasons, and one of the reasons was simply because I did not want to let it go. Right. But the other reason was that I felt like if the person was being open with me, even if it was something that I knew wasn't necessarily the best situation for me, if I could see some element that the person was at least trying to change or something like that. Listen, if it's meant to be, I promise you, if it's meant to be, that person is going to show you, and it doesn't have to be you guys are together for them to show you that they actually are serious about making a change in their life, where it no longer creates a negative impact on you and your happiness and what you're trying to create for yourself. Like, they will show you. People can change. I changed. So it's not that I doubt that people can change, but I had to show people with my actions that I changed. I couldn't just walk around being like, I promise I will. It's going to be different this time. I couldn't do that. You want to know why? Because that's bullshit. Because words don't mean shit. Words don't mean shit. It's action. So if you see somebody behaving a certain way over and over and over, and you don't see any real changes, then honey, you gotta kick him to the curb.
I hear what you're saying, and I believe it to a large degree, but I do feel like the way that I see you taking that advice, I feel like it's way more extreme than what I would do. But I want to find some sort of balance, like some sort of halfway point between.
Okay. So even though he says that it's extreme how I do it, has it not worked for me?
Of course it works for you, but at the same time,
do you see me being happier? Do you see me no longer complaining about one, let's say, number one or number two?
No, I hear you on that. No, I do feel like that it does definitely serve a purpose, and it's definitely beneficial in some ways. But I feel like it also could possibly lead to ending something prematurely that could have flourished. Possibly. That's my own personal belief.
The signs are there. And guess what? Like I said before, the signs are there. And if you feel it, if you see it, I don't care. The intuition, you know there's something off here. You know it. Don't wait to get so deep into this relationship to fucking finally admit that it is what it is. That's what you saw. And anyway, by the way, it just gets worse. The longer that you stay in it, the longer that you sit in denial, the harder it's going to be to let go, which is why, even though he was at a point in a relationship where it was like, this is toxic, this isn't healthy, I'm not happy, we're not even being intimate or whatever it is, he still was like, oh, I'm not ready to let go.
Yeah, but you know,
because you let it get.
Listen. There's some things too. I mean, I know what particular situation you're talking about.
I don't know.
But I will say that in that particular one, there were some other things.
Do you have some water?
No. Yes, of course.
I'm so thirsty. Where the fuck were we? I forgot.
I was telling you. I was telling you about that particular relationship that you were talking about of mine.
Right. Okay. Toxic relationship behaviors, but keeping it together, not being able to let go. Why?
Well, part of it though had nothing to do with. It had nothing to do with. What I'm trying to say is this.
What?
This particular relationship was multifaceted, and what I mean by that is we were together in a bunch of different ways. There was no easy fix to this.
Codependency.
Yeah,
that's all I hear here.
I mean, that's
there's no
what it was,
easy fix, but that's the problem. Too many people think there is an easy fix. It's end the relationship if it's not working. Focus on yourself so that you can get back in if you think that's really what you want. And you'll have a different perspective going in, and you'll be able to handle things differently, and maybe you'll be able to create a better and healthier relationship and a different dynamic if you actually separate yourself so that you can start to see what you were behaving like when you were in a relationship.
Right, I hear you on that, but what I'm trying to say is that I learned some lessons from that relationship too. Okay, it would be one thing if we weren't involved with each other on all those different levels. Then it would have been a lot easier for me to just say
Jennifer Lopez, A-Rod. Just saying.
What happened with him?
No, I don't really know. No, all I know is that his ass was talking to some chick, and then J-Lo was like, oh, I'm gonna pretend to take him back, and then I'm gonna be the one to dump him because, I need to look good, and that's what she did, and then she came out with Ben Affleck. And the whole point that I'm trying to make is that he had invested in a lot of whatever her business endeavors.
Right.
So they were he had met the family, they were living together. Also, I do understand they have money and it's a little different. But I do feel that when you are in a situation and it's not working for you, that I think the best thing to do is, I don't care if you have to sleep on someone's freaking couch.
I hear you
on
that,
need to separate yourself. You need to give yourself space to figure out what's going on with you and why you're choosing this in your life. Honey, you're not in prison. You can have the best life that you want. You truly can. And so many people stay in these unhealthy relationships because they're like, but I love this person, but I'm in love, but we care about each other. Blah, blah. Okay, well, if you care about each other, then you should want to see the other happy. And if you stay in a relationship where you're both unhappy, then who really cares?
I hear you on that.
Huh?
Right.
You tell me, honey.
Here's the thing, though, and this thing, I think, is also the reason why I myself didn't let go of certain situations, even though I know that they weren't the best for me. And I feel like a lot of other people, because of this thing, do the same thing.
You're not self-aware.
That's a part of it, but it's more so becoming attached.
When you get to a point with yourself where you are so confident in the love that you have for yourself, it is not easy to just attach yourself to another person.
Or another thing.
I truly believe, and I think that's why it's been so easy for me, like in the last 4.5 years. Like, I used to think like this. Before I got sober, when I was partying a lot, I would like fall in love, right, with like the first person that I'd hook up with, and then we'd move in with each other and we'd have all this fun together, and I'd be like, oh my god, they're like the greatest thing on planet Earth and blah blah blah. But then I'd realize that I didn't actually really like them because I was so far from myself, because I didn't work on identifying who I was. I used other people to feel like they became my identity. How about that? You know what I mean?
I hear you on that, and I do feel like a person who's self-aware is less likely to become attached to people or things. But I also believe that it's becoming attached can be, even if a person is self-aware, it can happen. Like what I'm trying to say is this: we as human beings, when we experience something, whether it's positive or negative, good or bad, it creates a certain feeling in us, and also it creates like certain habits are created, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So if we're accustomed to a certain thing over and over and over again, when we even think about removing that thing from our lives, it becomes difficult because we're accustomed to it. Our bodies are wired in such a way that we are expecting this thing to be there, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
And that, to me, is one of the roots of why people stay together, especially in unhealthy relationships. It's because they become attached to it. They become attached to the situation, not even necessarily the person.
Yeah, you're basically, it's just a habit. Creatures of habit. I get that. I also believe that when you become more confident and self-aware, it's just a whole other level of respect when you create standards and expectations that people need to meet once you truly love yourself. Because when you see all of those red flags, and this is what he talked about before, how if I see red flags, you get 2 chances. Literally, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I will let you get to me, shame on me, because I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. And he still thinks that's too much. No, because people show you who they are very early on. Even when they are wearing a mask, I'm telling you, you can see it. The signs are there. Even if it's like the first time you're seeing it, if you see that more than twice, honey, that's just the early stages. Because I'm telling you, it gets way worse than that. It gets way worse than that. Don't even let it get to that level. Don't. I promise you, all you need is twice. 2 times. Remember that kid I told you about? He like literally turned into a serial killer psychopath, like in a second.
He snapped, right?
He snapped in a second. He showed his mask came off, and then a second later he was like, I still love you. And that was the second time that he did something weird, and never again he was out.
But how long was the space in between?
That was a couple of weeks that I was doing that work.
Right.
And the first time was in my home. So it had to be maybe like a week and a half.
Okay, I see that.
It was within 2 weeks, I saw there were 2 different situations where this person showed their true colors. The first one was like all of those like little random like hits. And then I was kind of just like, why is he acting like this, right? Then I saw that one. But again, they do this thing where they realize they're behaving a certain way and they're like, oh my God, but you still love me, right? Everything's great, right? And they try to cover it up. Or like a guy who yells at you, or for a guy who hits you the first time. And he's like, I was just so upset. It's because I love you so much. Honey, I'm sorry. Once is too much.
I heard that.
If it's more than once, honey.
Yeah, I mean, for me too. But
that's different. Yeah, that's different.
There's certain things that I won't tolerate at all.
Red flags. Give me an example.
Okay, the thing about
I guess the most recent.
The thing about my last relationship is that I see red flags now that I guess I saw them then, but I didn't realize that they were red flags in the moment, or I don't know if I was.
You were being accepting because you're like, oh, I have to accept this person for who they are.
Right.
That's your whole mindset, and it's like, okay, well, you can accept somebody fully and not have to be in a relationship with them.
That's very true.
You can totally accept them. Look, I accept who you are. This dynamic just doesn't work for me.
I would say
it's not going to work for us.
In my last relationship, the biggest red flag was the first real argument that we had. It was a few months in, and even though it was
during the honeymoon phase.
It was during the honeymoon phase.
That's already a win. That's already a warning sign. You guys should be fucking all over each other. You should literally be like the happiest little fucking buggers. Just happy, happy, happy. Oh my God, this person's perfect in the first 6 months.
I went on this trip. I was talking to her a lot less than she was accustomed to, and she started getting upset about it. But again, we talked about it. She realized, at least I thought she realized, that she was being a little overly dramatic about it.
Right.
And but what happened was when I got back to New York, I could still tell there was some tension behind it. So I addressed it with her, and the way I addressed it was, listen, you know, even though we live in two separate countries, I still feel there needs to be a healthy amount of space between you and me. I could tell that she recognized, at least to some degree, at some point in our conversation, that she was being overly dramatic about it. She knew she was.
Okay.
And I felt like,
oh, she got it.
That's what I felt like.
Like,
yes.
oh, she's not always dramatic.
Right.
She just needed me to like steer her in the right direction. She gets it now. But behind the scenes,
that wasn't the case.
You saw red flag number 1. What was red flag number 2? I'm just curious. Remember, I told you 2, and then that's it.
Right. I did notice gradually certain things happening that, in retrospect, I see now how big red flags they were.
Seeing that sort of behavior that early on, like under 6 months, if somebody's being like already being like over dramatic, or like you're not spending enough time with me, you're not talking enough to me after 6 months, no, I'm sorry. Watch out for red flags, warning signs, look them up, because we didn't give you any real ones. But like being too clingy, expecting you to give them attention 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, and a big one is communication, lack of communication, and also the manner in which someone is communicating. In other words, like treating each other with respect. That's one of my big red flags, actually. It's one of my big red flags is about
name calling. That's a big no-no. If somebody starts calling you a narcissist, if somebody starts telling you you're this and that, goodbye. Listen, just respect yourself. I think another thing about this video that I think is important too is like really understanding. Start researching what it is to be self-aware, how to, start your path or your journey to self-discovery. Specifically for me, I did a program, which is where I actually met Kafele. I met him on my path of self-discovery 3 years ago when I did this program called Landmark. We were in the same class together. We had an assignment where we had to go up to a random stranger and talk to them, 3 actually, and he was the first one, and we have literally been inseparable since. And we've had our ups and downs. We can do our own separate videos for stuff like that. If you guys actually like our videos, we can do that. But I think if people watch our videos and they give us ideas and topics to talk about, we will talk about anything.
Yeah, we're open.
Because as you can see, we like to talk. Well, I like to talk a lot, and he likes to talk with me too. So, what do you want to say? What do you think for the video? We talked so much, but like, was there anything in particular that you think that they could learn from it? Is there anything that you want to share that they could possibly learn from what we discussed?
I mean, I feel like the main points though are just awareness. I mean, just how we both met in that program it was like a self-discovery program. I feel like with myself, in terms of my own personal relationships with people, a big thing that I know will determine the nature of my relationship with someone is whether or not I choose to focus on important aspects of the relationship. In other words, I mean, okay, like before I became involved in Landmark, before I started reading, before I went to a psychologist, I was kind of just living my life. I was reading spiritual stuff every now and then, but I wasn't really examining myself on a very deep level like I'm doing now. But I feel like that concept of being just being on a journey of growth and discovery for self, and also examining the relationships that we're in too, to make sure that certain elements align with our core values. I think those are the most important things.
Don't settle. Don't just accept anything, guys.
Right.
We all deserve the best. Honestly, I truly believe that, and I won't stand for less.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you to share with us your beliefs on love. Do you think that we have been brainwashed to believe that being in love is the way to go? Do you think that it isn't real? What's your take on being in love? Let us know. Leave it in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. You should subscribe if you like this video. You should also like it because it's free and it helps me.
Right.
Silver Warrior, I'm out.
Peace.
Stay beautiful always. Don't. I'm gonna punch you in the fucking face.
I was just thinking, I had sex with a girl with leg warmers on one time. That shit was hot.
Is that even a word? Did I just make that up? I don't even know. Okay, thank you. Asshole. This is the motherfucker. I need to clean your glasses.
Huh?
I need to clean your glasses. Bye. See you later.